As well as doing that, I also continued working with Organizing for America, doing phone banks. We did some visual things like getting out to the public on the healthcare issue, passing out literature and writing letters to the editor, letters to our representatives. As most people know, our representatives didn't vote for it. But in that time when I was working with Organizing for America, our local field director, he called me to set something up in Defiance, and we'd be talking, and he'd tell me, you should run for Congress. And I'd kind of laugh at him, and we'd get back to working on what we were working on. And then, fast forward to February 11th, 7 days before the filing deadline for candidates, he calls me and he's like, no one's running against Bob Latta. He said, why don't you do it? I don't know. He's like, I never imagined myself running for Congress. He's like, just do it. And I said, well, you know what? Get in contact with the people that we know. If no one's filed, I said, I'll do it. He's like, all right, I'll get back with you in a few hours. In a few hours, my phone rang, and it was a number that I had never seen before. And it was the Wood County chairman. And he's like, well, I hear you might be interested in running for Congress. I said, well, if you don't have anybody, I'd hate to see the ticket go blank, and I didn't see that as a good thing for the Democratic Party. Kind of give the perception that we're not out here, and we are out here. There's a lot of concerns that need addressed that aren't getting addressed by our representatives, in my opinion. So we had 7 days to get the signatures and get the paperwork turned in. It took 4 of those days to convince my wife that this was the right thing to do. Me and my wife are both very private people, herself more than I. But what I told her is, we sit here and watch the news every night, and we complain about the way they're doing things. Why don't we stand up, use the public eye for the things that we're sitting here talking about on the couch? So she reluctantly said yes, and now she's my treasurer. People talk about grassroots organizations and things of that. I think we're still laying the seeds down. We're trying to get some roots going. Right now, it's me and my wife working out of our little computer room at home. We do have some very loyal volunteers to us. Most of the people from the Defiant Citizen Action Group are really behind us because they know me very well, and we've worked together before, and they're standing behind me, and it means a lot to me that they are. Over the last 2 months, my life obviously changed a little bit. I've done a lot of things to get out of my comfort zone. One is getting up in front of all you guys and talking. I was telling this story earlier tonight. My first public speaking engagement, other than a high school speech class, was about a week after I had filed to become a candidate, and it was Wood County was having their central committee was having an endorsement meeting to endorse a candidate. Being unopposed, I was, it was just a voice vote. Do we vote to endorse all the unopposed candidates? They said yes. But Jennifer Bruner was there, and Lee Fisher was there, along with one other less known candidate for the Senate race. Well, I was the opening act that night. I was in a room of 100, 200 people, and never spoken, given a speech in front of people like that, and never with a microphone. It was kind of a train wreck. But I like to think that I'm getting a little better at it. But one of the hardest things that I've had to do so far is coming up with a campaign slogan. And I know that might sound funny, but you'll never guess how hard it is to come up with 4 or 5 words to describe what you stand for and things of that nature. So I thought long and hard about it, and kept coming back to 2 things: the American dream and my grandmother. You know, my grandma is 82 years old, and she was born, and when she was born, she lived in a dirt shack. And she grew up to raise a family of 8, own her own businesses, and just be a very strong woman. And I idolize her, to be honest with you, but it's not really possible, in my eyes, or a lot harder, for someone coming from poverty today to be able to make it through the system. It seems like the system's almost there to keep you down, and that's something that I'd like to see how we change. I know a lot of people might think, you know, who's this guy? He's an unemployed factory worker. Who does he think he is to run for Congress? But one thing I look at is we have 535 members of Congress and the Senate. They're all doctors, lawyers, and people like that. Why can't we just have an everyday average American in there? Keep an eye on them. I was working on my buzz line. But I do think, you know, even if I can't win in November, I don't think that that's the only, winning the election is not the only victory that's out there. Being the voice of the people, getting the issues that concern us out there, and using the platform that I have to get the concerns out there is very important to me, especially with a young son. You know, the Republicans always talk about, well, we're digging our kids into debt and we're doing this. Well, if we keep doing things the way they want to, they don't have to worry about that, because there's not going to be no jobs or anything for the kids out there. And we're already seeing that right now. In our district, we have roughly 16% unemployment. Some counties hovering right around 20%. And that's not sustainable for us to be like that. I'd just like to close and saying thank you, and I still haven't told you this is my campaign slogan. You know, I said, you know, I got inspiration about the American dream, and from my grandmother. There's one other person I got some inspiration from on this as well, and that's a little friend of mine named Bob Dylan. He once said, "I'll be in your dream if you let me be in your dream." I'm bringing back the dream. I said that. I want to thank you guys for your time. Very nice meeting all of you. I'm more than willing to answer any questions you have about me or what I'm about. Fire away.